Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. A huge welcome, a big hug to everybody across the world. This is USA Global TV and Radio, and I'm Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Our show today is Authentic Achievements, and we are going to be celebrating women all across the world. Joining me is the star of our show. Her name is Kim Adele Randall. She has helped people all over the world. She is super accomplished, very successful. She is a sweetheart, and she is here to tell us more about International Women's Day, which is next week. Welcome, Kim Adele. Hello.
Hi, Dr. Jacqueline. How are you?
Hi, I'm well, thanks. How are you? We're both in white.
I know. We've clearly got a memo without realizing.
In red.
I love it.
It's so nice to see you. And as I mentioned in the intro, you have helped so many people across the world. You've had an amazing journey yourself. I love when we get together for our show because I'm always learning something from you. You're always quoting people. Tell us a little bit about how you created Authentic Achievements, your own platform.
Yeah, so it was it kind of came out of overcoming my own imposter syndrome. So for a long time, I suffered and still suffer occasionally, but I'm getting better at catching myself from those overwhelming moments of doubt. And I'd spent a large part of my corporate life trying to be something that I wasn't. You know, I was told very early that, you know, you don't have the gravitas, you don't have the vocabulary, you don't have this. So I learned better words. I changed my appearance. I tried to be this corporate being, and I'm not. I live my life as a hyperactive puppy dog most of the time. And it wasn't until I stepped into that, and when the two don't have to be different, I can be who I am. I can be that overly excited, optimistic human being and still be a good leader and still run businesses and have the courage to be myself, that I really started to be even more successful. And realized that actually I could still run those big organizations. I could still run those multi-million-pound companies and have fun along the way and take my people on that journey. And as I went through a big change for myself, which was 6 years ago now, and my little girl wasn't quite one, and I had a real epiphany moment in one of the darkest moments of my life, which was, if I want her to grow up to know how amazing she is and to believe in the art of the possible, I have to start showing that. I have to start having the courage to live that way myself, because children don't learn by what we say. They learn by what we say, what we do, and how we are. And so if any of those are not aligned, they're going to not take away the message that we want them to. And that's when I made the commitment to really dig into understanding how I could overcome those moments of doubt, how I could push myself through to live my life as authentically as myself. And that's where the platform came along. And I was super grateful, very blessed to meet yourself, Dr. Jacqueline, and for you to give me the opportunity to bring my show and the platform to your audience as well, and hopefully to be able to motivate, inspire, and encourage everybody that's listening and watching to step into your light and to have the courage to be you.
Thank you so much, Kim Adele. That was absolutely beautiful. And something that you said I want to touch on, because I think this is really important when we're recognizing and celebrating women and lifting up each other, is that in many cases, people could say, oh, you two are competitors because you both have a platform. We're like, no, actually, we are going to support each other. So, how do we as women look at each other differently instead of saying, well, there's only enough of us in this space, for 5 of us or 2 of us, instead of let's celebrate all of us? How can we help each other?
Yeah, it's so true. I think we drive at things, don't we, from this sense of lack or scarcity, and yet the reality is there's more than enough for all of us. And when I was growing up in my career through corporate life, it was very competitive for women, because I think there was that belief that if you helped somebody else, then maybe they'd take your role. And I was like, well, then it's not my role. So actually, why can't we collaborate more? Why can't we work together, men and women? But particularly for women, we've got to re-swing that pendulum. It's taken a long time, to get us starting to move towards some parity, and therefore we need to be able to support each other and hold, reach back and help other people up, and recognize that actually they're not your competition. Oh, they could be, is the wind beneath your wings. When we work together, when we learn from each other, when we collaborate, when we look at things and say, I've had similar to yourself, Dr. Jacqueline, I've had loads of people that go, Kim, you've got too many coaches and too many consultants in your network. And I'm like, why? And they were like, well, they're your competition. I'm like, no, they're not. They're not. I won't be the right coach for everybody, but I do want to be helpful to everybody. So actually, if somebody comes along that, we get to meet, and actually we're not going to be a good fit, we're not going to be the right combination, I like to be able to put them in touch with somebody who would possibly be a better fit for them right now. And I don't see that as competition. That's just how we all evolve. And I think it's all back to that reframing our thinking in the first place, that says actually why are we assuming that there isn't enough? Why don't we trust that together we can make more? With most things in life, if we add them together, they create something that is greater than the sum of the individual parts. And I believe that to be true also of how we empower and support people.
Absolutely.
Well,
I'm applauding this, what you're saying. It's fantastic. Something else I also want to just touch on, because you mentioned this as well about the number of coaches and others, consultants who are in your network. Why is it that when we are really good at something, for the most part, I'm not referring to you or to me, but to people in general, that they're like, oh no, this is my secret. I figured out how to do this, and I'm not going to tell you. I know you want some help. I know you're asking me for help, but no, I can't give you the secret. It's a secret recipe for success, and I can't share it with you.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of like, when you were a kid, and it was that one child that held on to one piece of the jigsaw puzzle so they could be the one that finished it. And I was like, why do we do? Why do that? Why not just take pleasure from being a part of building that jigsaw? And actually, they used to say knowledge is power, but knowledge is only powerful if we share it. Because if not, the only person that knows it is you, and you already know it. So there's no increase from that. There's no addition. Whereas when we share it with people, we send those ripples of positivity out, and imagine where they might end and what we might have achieved as a result of it. Because I look at, somebody said to me once, you're too generous with giving away, giving away your knowledge, giving away your information. And I was like, but I was gifted it. So I didn't earn it. I was gifted it. Yes, I've worked hard, and I've studied and learned, and I've had amazing conversations with people and really listened to what they had to say so that I could learn something and grow, because I believe that's our role in life, is to keep growing, keep learning. But it's not my knowledge. So therefore, if I want to be part of that circle, if I want to be part of that that relationship, then I need to share mine too. If not, I'm not being very generous. And if I'm not being very generous, I can't expect that anything generous is going to happen to me either.
Absolutely. So now the question that pops into my head, and maybe to other people who are watching or listening, is how do we know when to say, okay, I'm going to give and give and give, and now I have to charge? Where is that line about giving versus valuing your own abilities and your service and your ability to help someone else by putting a price tag on it?
It's a great question, and one that stumps us all, isn't it? Is that whole it's adding that value, and I found it really hard, as I'm sure lots of us did. But in the end, I had to find a way to make it work for me, which was life's a balance. So for me to be able to continue to be giving and generous, I've got some basic needs. So I need somewhere to sleep, I need to eat, I need to drink. I've also got a little girl, and she needs all of those things as well. So if I don't charge for some of my knowledge, then actually how am I going to ensure that I'm still here to give the knowledge and that actually my little girl is safe and loved as well? That really helped me reframe the perspective, which is it's not about not being helpful. And therefore what I've started to do is go, okay, I can share the knowledge that's freely available for you to be able to use yourself. If you want my individual time as well, which means it's one-to-one, so I can't be sharing that with lots of other people, then actually I'm going to have to charge for that, because the alternative is I could just continue to do loads of stuff that helps loads of people. And so it's kind of making sure that if people go, well, actually, I can't afford that. It's like, well, that we've got the free resources that are available for you, or we've got a course. So giving people a range of ways that they can work with you, so that they've got an alternative option if they can't afford the one that is their ideal. And I think it's coming to terms with that yourself to say that's not being unfair. That's not, we all have to live. We all have to, and living costs money. And I think it's very hard when you're in this kind of like knowledge space, when you're in the kind of coaching piece, to go, well, okay, I'm going to charge for this, but it is a job. The alternative is you wouldn't be doing this. You'd be going and working anywhere else doing that job, and you wouldn't be sharing the knowledge that you've got. And when you look at the size of the industry, I mean, the knowledge industry is worth billions of pounds, and that always helps me put my rates into perspective, because I'm nowhere near the millions and billions. So if we think about the kind of that scarcity piece again, actually there is no scarcity. It's about putting that value in and recognizing that actually it's okay to ensure that you've also got the things you need to enable you to continue to provide them for other people.
Excellent points as always. Thank you. And we do have a very nice comment, by the way, from someone over on YouTube. Nathaniel, thank you so much for being here today. What a wonderful interview. You both always share massive value.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I love what you just shared, and I want to kind of drill down a little bit, because today we're celebrating women and we're helping one another. We're giving direction and coaching. So you want to help people. You're giving free services, courses, advice, direction, coaching. And then at some point there's a line in the sand, you say, okay, I have to charge for this. But what about, because we hear this all the time, things aren't going very well, I don't have the money, I wish I could pay you, I really need more support. How do you continue to lift up others who are maybe crossing the line a little bit? You know what I'm saying? For that, you have that boundary, you've already set the boundary, but yet they're kind of begging and pleading and drawing you in, tugging at those emotional heartstrings. What do you do, Kim Adele?
Oh, it happens a lot, and I always feel really awful. And I realized for a while that actually I was allowing people to start always with how badly things were going for them, and how awful it was in their world, and if only they've got this or that or the other, then that would be okay. And I used to make that my problem. I used to, people used to come in and be like, okay, well, I can fix that, I can solve it. Until I realized that inadvertently by doing that, I got myself in a place where I was in the same place. So I was really struggling financially, not because I wasn't busy. I was really busy, but I was really busy doing stuff that wasn't paying anything. And that for me was that massive eye opener. So now I always share with people, I'm genuinely sorry if that's how things are going. Let me point you to some specific resources that are free, that I can put you to. Here's some group sessions that I can do, but I'm afraid I'm not able to do any more than that right now, because actually I also need to make sure that I'm, one, being fair to those other clients. So for the clients that are paying, how fair is it if I'm taking the money from them and not taking it from somebody else? It means that I'm reducing the value that I give. And would I be able to do it if I gave it to everybody for free? Not unless I win the lottery, which, if it looked like me to win the lottery, that'd be great. I happily would give it all away for free. But I think it's kind of like restating those boundaries, because I've found in a couple of places when I did reinstate the boundary and just say, look, I'm really sorry. You were supposed to be having 1 hour and you're now taking 10, but you've only paid for the 1. That I can't continue. People got really upset and frustrated about it, and I had to acknowledge that part of that was my fault. I'd allowed them to way overstep the boundary and done nothing to pull them back in. So now what I do is I'm much clearer with my boundaries straight away. And although if people are really struggling, I will help. What I've now started to do is help them find the solution rather than give them the solution. So actually, I'm not going to do it one-to-one for you, but here you are. I'll give you all of the resources that you could ask yourself those questions to be able to get there. I'm just not going to put myself in there. And I had to get comfortable with myself and acknowledging that it doesn't make me unkind. That just means that I'm trying to be fair the best way I know how.
Brilliant. I love it. I love the confidence, and yet at the same time, the compassion. It's 2 C's together, which is beautiful. And I also think that when we are approaching something that looks like a boundary and feels like a boundary, that it causes us to look for a solution. It causes us to take action instead of just take. We actually have to do something. And by doing something, we're going to feel more accomplished ourselves. Because I know personally that when I'm getting help from someone, for example, if I'm getting coaching and I'm not paying for it, at some point the value is going to be different in how I'm perceiving it versus if I'm paying for it. So if I'm paying for it, then it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to be completely present. I'm going to take this feedback and direction, and I'm going to do something with it. And so I think that that's also a call to action for the recipient, that they have to actually do something with the information instead of just being a sponge.
And I completely agree. And I think, once you do pay for something, then you do value it more. It's awful, but you do value it more. And I think, I know for me, I don't take any services from people if I can't pay for them. Even if I need them, even if I want them, it's like, no, I can't afford it. And that person still needs to eat and they still need to live. And it's okay for them to charge what they want to charge for it because they've earned that right. I now need to find a different route to be able to get there. But it really does hone that commitment. And I think you're right. It's that balance of confidence and compassion, and making sure that we are confident in what we do and how we do it and the impact it's going to have, whilst also being compassionate for the space that the person's in. I think before, one of my challenges was that I swayed out of empathy into sympathy. And when we're in sympathy, what we do is we take away the other person's capability to make a difference, because we're now going, oh, poor them, they're not going to be able to get out of this on their own. I need to step in and help. Well, actually, they can get out of it on their own. They just need to be pointed in the direction of some right support. So I think keeping ourselves in that empathy piece where we can go, I know what it's like to be in that place. I've been there. I can't imagine, how awful it feels for you right now. And here's how I got out of it. I went and read these books. I went and looked at this course. I went and did these steps. So hopefully that will help you too. Allows you to still be doing some value add, but giving them the belief that actually they can get there themselves rather than stepping in and trying to be everybody's hero, which I inadvertently was very guilty of.
I always appreciate your transparency, so thank you for that. I want to talk a little bit about emotions. And as women, we've been labeled over decades highly emotional, especially when it comes to that time of month or when it comes to menopause or whatever it is. And what I found for myself as an entrepreneur, I went from being in my female energy a lot of times to being in my male energy. And I'm not saying that one has emotions and one doesn't, but I find that in business, I'm very direct, and I'm not going to be as compassionate as I might be otherwise. And part of that is because I have things that have to get done. And I'll give an example. There are many times before I go live on a broadcast and people are backstage and they start telling me their whole life story. And meanwhile, I'm trying to get the things ready to produce the show and start. And I really can't be there. I really can, because I have a job to do. And so I try to give a disclaimer. I'm working right now. I'm not your friend. Right now, I'm a producer. I'm a host. And that doesn't always go over so well. So part of why I'm bringing this up is, how do we set boundaries when it comes to our emotions that, okay, we're friends, but we're also colleagues. We're here to do something. You and I are friends, but we're doing a show right now. So right now we are here bringing content as opposed to just, well, it's great to see you and how's this going? So how do we set those boundaries?
Oh, great question. And I think often it's just about being really honest and transparent at the start. I remember years ago, and I used to interview people, and the first thing that I would say is, please forgive me, you're going to spend a lot of your time looking at the top of my head. And that's because I don't write that fast, but I want to be able to capture what you're telling me. So I am listening, but it may not look like I am. So being aware, but telling them in advance, with people when they come on the show, as you do, it's like saying to them, like, right now I'm just prepping everything and I'm going to get the host. Let me tell you what's going to happen next for you, and then bear with me if I look distracted, because I'm just getting everything set up that needs to go. And like you say, there's so many things that you've got to prepare and get ready and make sure that everything's there to make it a great broadcast for them. They're here to share their story. They're here to share their insight. We want to put them out there in the best way possible. And I think sometimes by just sharing that with people, giving them that, giving them the why in the first instance, allows you to therefore move on without that piece of emotion. One of the big challenges is nobody really wants to talk about emotion. Emotion is the elephant in every room. It's the bit we don't ever want to share. And yet the reality is, irrelevant of whether or not we're male or female, our emotional brain responds 24 times faster than our thinking brain. So actually, there's always going to be emotion there. So I find in mine, acknowledging that and then putting it out there first, so that people understand it, and therefore they're better equipped to handle it, even in those really complex situations. So when it's going to be, for example, if over the years I've had to deliver some really horrendous messages, and one of the first things that happens with that horrendous message is people make it about them. So I did a major redundancy program probably about 12 years ago now, and I knew the first thing they were going to do is all decide that meant they were bad people, that they shouldn't be there, because their emotional brain was going to respond. So I started it with, the very first thing I need you to remember is, this is not about you. It's happening to you. You are impacted as a result of it, but it's not about you. And let me explain what I mean by that. This isn't happening because you're not a great employee. This isn't happening because I wouldn't love you to work for me for the rest of your life. This is happening because, quite honestly, we couldn't lead us to a different outcome than this one. And that's the reason we're making this decision. And the reason for that was to help them acknowledge that the emotion was there, that there is going to be that emotional response. But actually, if I can make you aware of it up front, you can already start to think about your strategies for overcoming it. And on that particular occasion, I had one lady who got really angry, quite rightly, and might have been a bit colourful in her language, and had she was very frustrated and say, I think it's because of this, I think it's because of that, I think it's because of the other. And I was like, I can absolutely see where you're coming from. I can see where from where you're standing and with the information available to you, that is how you might think. I promise you that's not what's happened, and here's some facts. And later on that day, she came up to me and she went, "I'm really sorry." I said, "Please don't be. I delivered you a horrendous message, a message you've got to live with. And you were quite rightly angry. And that's okay. So you don't need to apologize for that. I knew you were going to be likely to be angry because of how bad the message was. So I prepared to be comfortable with the uncomfortable."
That took a lot of courage and a lot of expertise and talent, which you have because you're so good at what you do. So thanks for sharing that. And hopefully people are taking away some great tips from today's conversation. Something else I just wanted to mention when it comes to setting boundaries, and you and I have talked about this many times, is even in a conversation, when if I were to just approach you and call you out of nowhere and just start blithering on about this and that and that and this, and you're getting ready to go somewhere and you're trying to be diplomatic, you're trying to be a friend, but in the meantime, you've got something you have to do. And it's kind of a wake-up call when someone says, "Hey, I'm really sorry, but I can't speak to you right now." It's like, what? What do you mean you can't speak to me right now? You can't drop everything you're doing right now because I am having an emotional breakdown? How do we support each other as women, knowing that we're emotional beings, but at the same time, we have a lot on our plate that we have to get done, and we can't just drop everything in a given moment because somebody is having a meltdown?
Oh, it's so true. It can be so hard, can't it? To kind of, how do we continue to be supportive and continue to be that good friend, and recognize that it isn't always, an ideal time. So, one of the things I always do with my friends is drop them a quick message and just say, "I could really do with a chat when you've got time. Could you let me know when would be good for you?" Because then they'll go, very often they will immediately pick the phone up and go, "What is it you need?" But if they don't, I know that's because they're busy right then, not because they don't care and they don't want to help me. And likewise, I try and do the same for other people. That part that says, when somebody rings, checking in first. If I'm ringing somebody, I always say, "Can I just ask if you've got 5 minutes?" Because if the answer's no, then when have you got 5 minutes? Because I could just really do with a quick conversation. Now, I had somebody say to me once, "Well, if you haven't got time, don't pick up the phone." And I was like, I get that. I get that. There is some accountability for when we pick the phone up. I said, some of it is actually habit. I'm really getting better now at going, rather than pick up the phone when I know I haven't got time, I'm going to not answer the call if I'm busy doing something else, and send them a quick message saying, "Just doing something else, is everything okay?" Therefore, if they come back and go, "No, it's urgent," like yesterday being a great example, I did take this call because it flashed up that it was the school, but the school rang in the middle of a call with a colleague. And I said, "Do you mind awfully? I never normally take a call in the middle of it, but that's Scarlet School. They never ring unless there's a problem." And they were like, "Of course not." So I think, again, it's being clear in that first instance with yourself. That is, if I know I haven't got the time to do this, then actually, one, don't open that door for them. If you don't pick up the phone, then they can't suddenly go. But equally, if you've asked somebody if they've got 5 minutes, be respectful of that. Don't say, "If you've got 5 minutes," and then 55 minutes later still be blithering on about whatever it is that's bothering you. That's therefore now making them wish they'd not given you the 5 minutes in the first instance. So I think it's kind of, I'm trying to get a lot better, and we're human. We make these mistakes all of the time. I'm trying to get a lot better at setting those boundaries. First, not taking calls if actually I'm doing something else right then. And then just sending that quick text message, or also letting people know it's like, I've got 5 minutes right now. If you need longer than that, then I've got these times available later, or I can chat to you tonight when Scarly's in bed, as an example. Just allows me to better manage that and also be less frustrated by it. Because what I found before, I'm ashamed to say, was I would take the call, I would be there for people, for whatever it was that they needed. And then I'd be a bit frustrated and resentful that actually I'd now not done the thing that I really needed to do, that actually the thing that was so urgent and important actually wasn't that urgent or important or vital anyway. And therefore it damages your feelings about that, your feelings about those people. So I realized that was my fault, because actually I wasn't putting the boundaries in place, but then I was getting frustrated that they were crossing boundaries I'd not even told them about, which they have no chance then of avoiding, do they?
Exactly. And I think also it depends on what role we're in at the time. And I'll give an example. You and I are both certified coaches. I know when I first started coaching, I would be, it was on Zoom, and I found myself crying. And I was like, "Ooh," like the person's telling me their story and I'm crying and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like I am not being professional at all. But I was emotionally sucked into what they were telling me. And I was thinking, you know what, this is horrible. What they're sharing, like, I would never want to have this situation. And so I bring it up because if we're in the capacity as a professional, we have to act that way, because we're not bringing any value to someone if we are letting all of our emotions show. And I think the other thing is when someone calls us a friend, for example, and they're really going through something and they want to talk to us, many times they just want to rant. They just want to get it out of their system and they really don't want our input. So sometimes I will, if it's a phone call, I'll just put it on speakerphone. I just go about whatever it is I'm doing, because I know it's going to go on and on and on. And at some point they're going to be exhausted and they're going to stop talking. And I do the same thing. I'll say to somebody, you know, Kim Adele, I really just need to let this get out of my system, put me on speaker, and I'm just going to go on and on. And the other thing I found is that many times if somebody calls you, maybe you're first on the list, you don't answer, they go to the second person, the third, they're going to just keep calling till they get somebody on the phone. So you might be doing them a favor by not answering, because you don't have the mental capacity or the time, and they just need someone that's going to put it on speaker and just let them go and say whatever they have to say. What do you think?
And I agree, because I think sometimes, and we do it for ourselves. I've got this myself. Is you just need to hear it out loud, and that it doesn't work the same way if you hear it out loud to yourself in a room as it does when you've put another human being into that equation. Because I do it sometimes with people. I've got this problem, and it's really like, in my head, it's really real. And then I'll phone one of my friends and I'll go, do you know what? Just ignore me. I've just heard how ridiculous that sounds, even though I might have gone for days like round in a doom loop in my head, telling myself that this thing is really, really plausible. And I think you're right. As a coach, our role is to help guide people. Sometimes all they want is somebody to listen to them. I've got a good friend who always says, listening is an act of love. And when we really listen to people, not to fix things, not to solve things, not to answer things, just to listen to them, it validates them and who they are and how they feel. If they then want us to help them find a solution, then obviously we can do that as well. But I think often we start the conversation, and I know Dr. Jacqueline, you do some amazing courses on elevated listening. I think sometimes we misunderstand our purpose within the conversation. So that we start trying to give people advice or solve things or take it off them, when actually all they really wanted to do, as you say, is just let me rant on. Do the occasional verbal nod to me so I know that you're still there and you've not actually put me on speakerphone and gone out for the evening. I want to know that you're still there. But you don't need, I don't want anything else from you. So I think sometimes it's that. It's you're trying to be present to what's needed and not assuming you know what's needed. Because we only know if we ask the person, can I ask, what is it you need? Do you want me to help you solve it? Do you just want me to listen to it? Do you just want to be able to rant away at how you're feeling? Because actually that also is really valuable. We want to get that emotion out so that we can release that negativity. And then, funnily enough, we often find a solution for ourselves once we've let go of the negative emotion that has been created by the problem.
Outstanding as always. Thank you. And something that I just want to bring into alignment with this part of our conversation is I've been doing a lot of research and what it is to take your business to the next level. And of course, there's tons of people out there giving free information on Instagram and everywhere else. And of course, you have to go through with a fine tooth comb. But what about when you have a friend or a colleague who is constantly coming to you, hey, you're so successful, you did this, you did, and they don't want to take any risks. They don't want to change anything. And you know, when you see their name coming up on the phone, here it is. I have to hear everything about how this isn't working and that's not working. You've already given the free information, you've given the coaching, you shared your expertise, but they don't want to get out of their box. So how do you still maintain a friendship or professional relationship knowing that they're kind of just like hanging on like a clinging vine and you need to just cut that vine and say you're off on your own and go figure it out?
Yeah, that's a really tough one as well, isn't it? Because when you've helped for so long, and then it's like, at what point do you stop helping? I think for me, one of the things I've found is I stop helping when I'm clearly no longer helpful. So if they're not willing to get out of their box, they're not willing to take any of the steps that I've shared, the advice that I've given, the knowledge that I've given to them, then I will usually say something like, I'm genuinely sorry, I'm out of options. All the things that have worked for me, all the things that I'm aware of, we've already gone through and they clearly haven't worked for you. So I think now it's better if actually you find somebody else who's got different knowledge, who's got different experience that hopefully will work for you. And I wish you every success with that, because if not, I'm never going to help them, because they're going to have to take the action. And I think that's part of the challenge. If we can have the intention, but unless we have the take the action, we're never going to succeed. So it's kind of having those those parts that when fortunately most people at that point, it will be that kick that they might need. So I've had some people that go, oh no, that's not true, because actually I've not fully tried this. Like, okay, well, try it, and if it works, that's great. If not, as I say, I'm out of ideas. There's nothing else that I can do, because actually what I'm not going to continue to do is be an enabler for you to do nothing. Because again, I realized for a long time, in my drive to try and be helpful and try and be supportive to people, I'd end up doing stuff for people and they wouldn't be doing anything for themselves. And I was like, hold on, I'm running your business now for you, and I'm not running my business for me. And I'm still therefore being your support. It's just not going to work. And it took me a long time to realize and get comfortable with the fact that it's not my responsibility for everybody else to be happy. It's my responsibility not to be rude, not to be unkind, not to hurt people intentionally. That's my responsibility, but I'm not responsible for everything else. And I had to learn that to be able to regain a sense of self.
I totally agree with what you said. I love that. And I know for myself, I've actually had to say to people, I don't think I can bring any more value, because clearly this situation that you have has been going on and on. I've been listening, I've been giving support, but I'm not the one who can help you figure it out. And that doesn't mean I don't care about you. That doesn't mean I'm dismissing you. I'm letting you go so you can find support somewhere else. And I think that's a gift that you're giving to that person, and you're also giving to yourself. And we are definitely out of time, but I have one more topic, because I love chatting with you, but I have one more topic that I think is so important, and it's about perspective. You and I have talked many times about weight, about the way we see ourselves, and about the fact that we can drive ourselves literally insane about our physicality. And as women, we do that a lot. We beat ourselves up a lot. And I want to just share this when it comes to perspective. I have been obsessed with my weight my entire life. And so now I work out 3 times a day. I do intermittent fasting. I've been fasting 25 hours. I've been on and on and on. And literally yesterday, I said to myself, You are going to be 61 next month. When are you going to like yourself? When? When you're dead? When you're 70? I mean, you've got all these years behind you. You're torturing yourself. Why can't you just say, Jacqueline, you know what? You're healthy. You look as good as you can for your age. You're doing everything you can. Just love yourself. Why can't we do that as women?
It's so true. And you should love yourself. You don't look anywhere near your age. You're a beautiful woman. And I think these are the things that we can say it for other people. We can't say it for ourselves. And why is that? You know, what is it that causes us such concern? And I think it's back to that driver to compare and despair against other people. But we don't ever compare ourselves to anybody that we think looks worse than us. We compare ourselves to all the people that we think look better than us, and then hold ourselves to account for not being as good as them, to not being as beautiful, to not being as slim, to not being as intelligent. I've compared myself to not being anything to everybody for that many years. In the end, I suddenly thought about it and went, do you know what? I'm super grateful for this body, because this body and this mind has enabled me to get through 3 divorces, a stalker, illnesses, car accidents, miscarriages, becoming a mum. What an amazing gift that I've been given, because actually without this body, I wouldn't have survived any of those. And because of that, it allows me to actually like the body I'm in, whatever it looks like to anybody else, because it's got its purpose. And I think for me, that was my real switch, was to stop comparing mine to everybody else's. They've got a different journey. It's got to live up to doing different things for them. But mine got me through all of this. And that's something to be grateful for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll just close out with this. I love reality TV. I'm saying it. I do. I love it. I don't watch regular network television, but I love it. And so I'm watching The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. They're having their reunion. And the point is, you have beautiful, successful, accomplished women who are miserable in many ways, who have a lot of issues. And it just goes to show you, it doesn't matter about the container, what the container looks like. We all have a journey. We all have things that we have to deal with. We will all fail. We will all rise above, excuse me, again. And we just have to be there to support one another. And that's why you and I are here today. That's why we're here twice a month. If people would like to be a guest on the show, they're more than welcome. Tell us how people can get in touch with you, Kim Adele, and also about the value you can bring to our audience.
Of course. Thank you. Yeah, please do get in touch. You can find me at Kim Adele at AuthenticAchievements.com. I'm on social media as either Kim Adele Randall or Kim Adele 10, dependent if it was like Instagram, for example. And please do just reach out. If you'd like to be a guest here, then you can book on through USA Global TV and Radio. So just scroll to book your session and come and join us. And for me, you know, the people that I work with are successful business owners that are really wanting to go to that next level, to take their business and double its size, to really get sustainability, but also to get that balance, because running a business is hard. It's challenging. We have to wear so many hats, and that doesn't stop us being a human being. So actually, we've also got all the challenges and burdens that come from being a human being, whether that's a parent, whether it's a partner, whether it's a friend. And sometimes we need someone who's going to be our support throughout all of that, whilst giving us some strategies on how we're going to really succeed. So if that's you, please do get in touch. I would love to help. And I would also love to share your stories. And thank you for listening and watching.
Thank you so much, Kim Adele. I'm super excited that we had this opportunity to get together today. So I wish you all the best, and we'll be in touch soon.
See you soon. Take care.
Bye. Thank you, everyone, whether you're watching or listening on the live or the replay. We really do appreciate you. We are on a number of platforms and we're expanding. We will be on Roku, I believe, by tomorrow. And then we're expanding to some other fabulous platforms. I'll give more information about that. If you'd like to be a guest, we have 35 approximately different shows every week. Go over to our website and here's the information that you need. Go to usaglobaltv.com and look for Book Your Session. You can scroll down and see all the shows that we offer, and then go ahead and book in. Some of them are by invitation only by the show host, so you'll see that on there as well. So thank you. We're coming back with our next show, which is our Hot Topics show. I'll be hosting that as well, and I look forward to seeing you there. And thank you again to all of our sponsors. We couldn't be here without you. Let's take a look and listen.
Hello, I'm children's author Diane Floyd Boehm, and I am co-host for several of the USA Global TV and radio shows. I joined because of the purpose of the USA Global TV and radio. They provide content for the viewers and listeners, an opportunity for people around the world to have their own show or even be a guest on an existing show. We truly believe in helping others get their positive message out to the world. We also have the opportunity for the listeners. You can watch on several platforms, and on YouTube, you can ask questions and even give a comment. We absolutely love it. I love being part of the USA Global TV and radio because I love positive messages, and who doesn't? And we need more of that in the world. We are a family, and we hope you will join us and become part of the family too.
This program is brought to you in part by the British School of Excellence and founder, Mr. Philip Sykes. Building confidence, changing lives. Do you share our view that etiquette is a set of modern life skills that are essential for personal and professional success? Join us as an etiquette coach and change people's lives through the power of etiquette and manners.
The last few days have been really amazing. I had a trainer course from the British School of Etiquette.
And I must say it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made and one of the best investments I've made in my own training and development.
Now, words alone will not describe the transformation and the positive path that I have traveled with the British School of Etiquette.
I found I learned a lot from the lessons this time I came.
The last few days with the British School of Etiquette have been fantastic.
And what I've learned now is really beyond my expectations.
This is the most rewarding experience and the best investment I have made this year.
It was just great. I learned so much, and when I go back to Belgium I will incorporate a lot of it into my day-to-day life and business.
It's been absolutely wonderful for the whole week that we were here.
I feel transformed, and I feel like blowing a trumpet and tell people, come and do this school. This class is the best. This is the best school ever.
You should take it. It will change your life immediately.
I am now able to teach other people how to bring the best of them.
Thank you.
Thank you, BSC.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you to our clients for their testimonials on the Train the Trainer program. Our exponential and global growth is so significant that we've evolved from the British School of Etiquette to the British School of Excellence, where we're investors in people. Let us invest in you and your career. Contact us to become an etiquette coach. Go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. Start your career and elevate your success today.
When we speak, we don't hear. It's abundantly clear. Listening lazy creeping, and nobody's gonna win. Look someone in the eye. If you don't, they surely will cry. You don't hear a word I say, 'cause you always look straight away. Listening lazy, drive people crazy. Listening lazy, making us blue. Listening lazy, communication goes hazy. Listening lazy, listening lazy. Da 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 da. Listening lazy, driving us crazy. Listening lazy, making us blue. Listening lazy, communication goes hazy. Listening lazy, listening lazy. When you interrupt your friend, you will surely have to make amends. Lady Ella knows the way to help you listen better every day. And what's that? It's listening lazy. Ba-da-ba-ba. Listening lazy, driving us crazy. Listening lazy, making us blue. Listening lazy, communication goes hazy. Listening lazy, listening lazy. Listening lazy, driving us crazy. Listening lazy, making us blue. Listening lazy, communication goes hazy. Listening lazy, listening lazy, listening lazy.